Hey everyone. So today we are going to be talking about judge feedback, the things they tell you at the end of the debate, and how to make the most of it, and not just sort of like when they tell you something, what do you do, but how do you get them to tell you things that are really important and impactful for you, and then how do you use that to become a better debater. So we're going to talk about why judge feedback is important, um, basic feedback skills, advanced and expert feedback skills. So let's get right into it. So, what is judge feedback? Judge feedback is the comments that judge gives you at the end of the debate. That could be something that they say to you, or it could be something that they write down on their ballot or type into their ballot. Those are all forms of feedback, right? So they could tell you something like, I think you did a really great job explaining the impact, and that's why I voted for you because I understood why the impact was so large and necessary to have stopped. Or they could say something like, I didn't really understand how the plan solves the problem. So next time, maybe, do some explanation on solvency and make sure I know what you're talking about on solvency. And we're going to talk about judge feedback today, but you could also think of this as coach feedback because it's the same set of skills, basically. So why is judge feedback important? It's pretty much the most important part to getting better at debate. So your coach and judge feedback that you get is going to guide you to help you understand what you can work better on, and it's going to help you assess what you're doing well and where you can make some improvement. So this is a cycle that a lot of people use to think about improvement in debate. Let's just start here at debate at a tournament. This is an experience that pretty much everyone has in debate, right? You go to a tournament, you debate, maybe you win, maybe you lose, you do some things well, you make some mistakes, you come out realizing, I'm pretty good at this part, I can get better at this part, etc. Okay. And then the judge and your coach, or usually the judge, maybe your partner, gives you some feedback and you review that feedback and experience. You say, okay, what did my judges tell me? Maybe they typed out 10 things in a ballot that I can work on or that I did well. And then from my own experience, when I was debating, how was I feeling about how well I did? Did I use my time well? Did I use all my time in my speeches? Did I feel like I did a really good job on solvency? Did I not do a good job on solvency? Like, assess for yourself what you did well and what you didn't do well, and listen to your judges, right? And then once you have all that feedback together, look for trends. Are people consistently saying things like, I don't understand your solvency? Or are they saying things like, you read too fast and I can't understand you? Or are they saying, I don't understand what the impact is supposed to be? Or maybe they're saying, like, you never read your plan text. Like, I hear that feedback for kids all the time is, you forgot to read your plan text in the 1AC. Okay, if you forget to do that in every single debate, then you know that that's something that you can spend a lot of time working on because it's really important, right? So we're going to look at all the pieces of feedback and then sort of reflect on them and think about them and think about how often does this come up. Because if one judge says one relatively minor thing, like they're like, oh, I think you mispronounced this word. It's like, okay, well, maybe that happened, but who cares? That's not really a trend in feedback. That's just some single thing that happened sometime. So it's not really something that you need to spend a lot of time thinking about, right? We want to look at the really big trends in your debating and the things that seem to cause the most problems for judges and the things that you seem to be doing really well and focus on those, right? So based on what trends there are from the feedback from your tournament, we're going to develop new arguments and strategies. So let's say that all of your judges who heard your affirmative said, I don't really think that this solvency makes any sense. I don't understand how the plan solves the problem that you talk about in the impact and uniqueness. Well, okay, we know there's a problem then. So when we develop new arguments and strategies, we're going to take that piece of solvency we have, put it to the side, and choose a new piece of solvency to try to use so that we can try to solve that problem and improve for the next tournament, right? And then we go to the next tournament, try that piece of solvency, see how it goes, reflect on it, see if we need to develop, et cetera, et cetera. So we just keep rotating. And every time we do this rotation, we get better and better and better. And then suddenly you're really good at debate and you didn't even realize how good you were getting. For teachers, yes, this is Kolb's experiential cycle, just applied to debate. So that's how it works. Okay. So what basic skills can we use to get better at feedback? Because remember, this is the part of the cycle that feedback happens in. So if we don't have good feedback, if we don't have meaningful feedback, it's going to be really hard to find trends that are meaningful, and then we won't be able to develop strategies that work, and then we won't do well at the next tournament, right? So no matter whether you're winning or losing at tournaments, it's really the feedback and experience that's going to help you get better at future tournaments. So how can we get better at getting feedback that means something so that we can improve for future tournaments, plan for future tournaments? Um, well, the first most important thing is to take what your judges have to say seriously. It doesn't matter if your judge is judging for the first time or the 1000th time, if they're the best debater in the world or they're the most inexperienced debater in the world, doesn't matter, right? Because every judge is going to have something to say to you that can improve your debating. And yes, that includes people who have judged for the first time, because they have a really unique perspective in understanding your arguments and seeing if you are explaining those arguments to them in a way that makes sense. So be open to feedback and take what they have to say seriously. So at the end of every debate, a judge is going to tell you things. They're going to tell you what you did well, what you could work on, and take that seriously. And if you don't know what they mean when they say something, ask them. Or if they say something vague like, I thought the opponent's arguments were stronger than your arguments. Okay, I mean, that is good to know, I guess, but that doesn't really mean anything. Like when you tell your coach their arguments are stronger than ours, what are they supposed to do with that? That's not enough information, right? So, follow up, ask coaches, or ask judges. Okay, which arguments were stronger? Which ones convinced you? Which of our arguments were weak? How could we have made them less weak? How could we, what could make them stronger? Ask them specific things, follow up, try to learn something. Obviously don't be aggressive and, don't be mean about it. But if you legitimately want to know and want to get better, there's nothing wrong with asking more questions of your judge as long as it doesn't take a lot of time, right? And then the other main important thing is to write feedback down, because once you get done with the tournament and you go home and then, next week is your next practice, it's maybe like 4, 5, 6 days from the tournament to your next practice, you may not really remember exactly what the judge said. And what they write on the ballot is probably not exactly the same as what you hear from them, because they have to write comments for everybody, right? But you only need comments for yourself. So write down the comments for yourself, keep them, put them somewhere where you're going to be able to open them at the next practice, and then talk through them with your coach. Say, hey, coach, I had 3 judges at the tournament. They all told me I read too fast. So how do I get better at reading the evidence I want to read, but not having to go so fast? What do I do? And your coach will say, all right, we're going to do some highlighting, right? So take all that information, take it back to your coach, and then talk with your coach, talk with your partner about what you can do to get better. Okay, if every debater did this, not every debater does in middle school or high school or in college, but if every debater did this, I guarantee you would all be debating at a way higher level, way more quickly, and you'd be enjoying debate a lot more because you'd be getting better. Okay, advanced feedback skills. So assuming you're doing all these things in the basic skills, what more advanced skills can you do on top of that? Well, one is to ask your judge general feedback questions, because after a debate, a judge is going to say some things they think about the debate, but you might want to have 2 or 3 questions that you ask every single judge so that you can help find trends about your debating and what's going on. So things you could ask are, what could I do better next time? What could I, this debater who's talking, do better next time? And that way they have to specifically look at you, look at what you did and say, okay, here's what I think you could do better. Or if let's say you're the second negative speaker, ask them every time, how could my 2NR be better? How could I have argued my 2NR better to be more persuasive to you? And that's whether you win or lose, right? Because when you win, you can still gain skills too. It doesn't matter how much you won by or how well you did. You could always get better, and you should always try to get better. Or you can ask them, if you lose, what argument could I have made for you to vote for me? How could I have argued things differently in the end for you to have voted for me? And this might actually make your judge think a little bit about the debate and say, okay, I think the affirmative team was winning solvency and impact, but losing uniqueness. So the negative's uniqueness was so strong that I couldn't vote for you affirmative because I was pretty sure that that impact was already happening today. So maybe next time, focus more on defending your uniqueness to keep your story intact, right? And then obviously write that feedback down and review the feedback with on your own and then with your partner. Look for trends on your own and work together with your partner. Then go to your coach about the feedback and the trends that you found and make a plan, right? So not only are you going to go deeper and look for more information from your judges, but you're going to spend more time on your own or with your partner looking at it and trying to figure out what you can do better with that feedback to find trends in that feedback. Okay. And then for the expert skills, we're going to go a little more deeper and we're going to ask you to do more, just like before. So in this one, before the debate, I want you to have an idea of what you want feedback on, what you're going to improve on. And if you've done goal setting and stuff already, you already know you have goals for the tournament or things you want to get better at. So why wouldn't you ask your judge how you did at them and be able to plan ahead and ask about that? So for example, let's say you're moving from novice to junior varsity next tournament, and you know you want to try the new arguments, the counter plan in every debate on your negative, or you want to know how you're answering them when you're the affirmative, like how good are you doing? You should ask the judge every single time, right? Tell them, hey, this is my first time debating the counter plan. How did I do? What can I do better? Did I explain the solvency well? Did I explain the net benefit well? How was I doing, right? Choose something specific, like becoming better at arguing solvency, and then ask them specific questions about how you can get better at that or how you did at it so that you can assess yourself and how you're doing. And in general, I would choose about 3 things per tournament to do with this, because that way you can go to a tournament, practice, a couple things, get feedback on them, and then come back to your coach and say, hey, here's what I want to work on. Here's how it went. Here's the feedback. What can I do to get better at this part of debate? So that way we're going through the whole cycle, right? You go to a tournament, get feedback from the judges, you look at the feedback with your coach and yourself and your partner, and then you develop strategies to do that thing better next time. And then we go to a tournament with those new and improved ways of doing it. And maybe you focus on the same things or different things. And then you review that feedback, look for trends, develop new arguments, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you just get so much faster, so much better at debate, so much faster when you're really taking feedback seriously and when you're thinking ahead about what type of feedback you want and how you can use it. And obviously this is really important for debate, but it's also really important in real life, right? Because in your classes, in real life, in job, work, college, there's always going to be someone giving you feedback, whether it's a teacher, professor, boss, your significant other, whatever. You're going to have to be able to talk with other people and take seriously what they have to say and respond to it. So I honestly think that this is probably the most important skill that people learn from debate, is being able to not only take feedback from other people, but get meaningful feedback from other people, and then to deal with it and make a plan and learn from it. So hopefully you feel like this is something that matters to you, that's important to you. If you do this and take it seriously and do it at every tournament, I think you're going to get really good at debate really fast, and you're going to enjoy your experience a lot more. So enjoy, good luck, and happy debating.